Share a glimpse through our lens as we create a sustainable farm, handcraft our home from the forest, and share with you our successes and failures. Welcome to the Old North Homestead.
And Robin's clearing the low branches and the little trees on the ground. This particular area is where we actually store the UTV at the moment, but we want to build a shed, a 10 by 12 by shed. And so we're getting this particular square piece of land cleared, and we're going to start construction very, very soon. Now, like many of us, we see YouTube as a source of resource, and no exception for us either. Now, there's a guy, Bush Radical, Dave Whipple. He's been around for many, many years, and his channel is excellent resource. This is the plan, a 12 by 10 foot shed, doors on the front, just like Dave built. Although his hasn't got doors, but ours will. For those of you who are interested in the WoodlandMills HM130Max, towards the end of this video, we've got some hints and tips of the actual assembly of the head. There's some important things there that I haven't really seen on YouTube yet. Now what we're doing here is getting the UTV as close to the tree as we possibly can so we can mount a new security camera. This will be the fourth on the property, and it's given every angle covered as far as wildlife on the property and trespassers, of course. So sit back and watch. I knew it would happen sooner or later. The UTV got snagged by a tree root and it hooked itself under the UTV frame. There's only an 11-inch clearance underneath these things, so it didn't take much to sort of hold it back. But by golly, it took some bejesus out of me to get that tree root out. I used Robin's new handy-dandy Dewalt chainsaw to get it removed from the ground, and that iron stake didn't have a shovel at the time, so we just had to keep on poking around to get it removed. Now, putting together the sawmill head, but before that, of course, is the actual saw base rails. It came in 3 sections, a section and 2 others, so it was pretty handy shipping them in by 6x8 trailer. But there's a bit of a quick video on saw base rail system, and as you saw there quickly was the homemade crane contraption, which, by the way, I didn't show it on video, but one of those 2x4 legs snapped in half, and luckily the actual sawmill base assembly was almost so it dropped about 1 inch or so it didn't do any damage, thank goodness. Trailer's all packed up with the 3 sections and she's ready to go up to the homestead. See you there, guys. It is the next day and we're up at the property after transporting to have the ATV hooked up to this trailer. It took about a half an hour to 3/4 of an hour of struggle, sweat and tears to get these 3 sections on top of the sawmill base. So there'll be a few hours of struggling there and making sure that everything is level and true. So anyway, I'm going to spend a few hours doing that. I'll check in a moment. So this is a 5x5 harrower. So the spines that you see here are 1/2 inch thick metal, and this thing gets dragged on the ground, and you can see behind where the trail's been, it scarifies the ground. So this is the roadway up to where the camper is. It's a lot smoother. All the furrows have been taken out. So it's a good little tool. So this is the sawmill head all assembled. I have to say, the instructions that were given to by Woodland Mills and the subsequent tasks that needed to be partake to get this assembly and this head in place, it was absolutely marvellous. It was easy to do. There was no real effort in assembling this whole head. I guess for people that's going to take on this task, extremely heavy. Possibly around 800 to 900 pounds of the head right as you see it right now. So you do need some sort of equipment to be able to lift this. This is going to be loaded on the back of the trailer with the tractor, and when it gets up to the property, it'll be lifted off the trailer using the skid steer from Hilltop Rentals. 2 items on the sawmill head that are optional. One is the electric start, and so I had to get a battery. It's not supplied with the mill. I got one off Amazon. The other option was a power head instead of using the crank handle. I did see on YouTube a lot of guys ultimately went for a power head soon after they've been cranking that handle some time. So this thing actually went on reasonably well. Just a bit of a tip, the tightening screws that are used to mount this on the protruding crank handle shaft They don't come on the power head in the wrong direction. They are where they should be. Just remove this cover with 2 bolts around the back here, this one and this one, and then you can easily get to those bolts and tighten them up with the supplied shims so that it fits that shaft. The frame that you can see in front of you now on both sides, the bolts are all nylock nuts. At the moment they're all engaging the nylon so that during shipping they're not going to roll off and lose any bolts on the way up to the property. But it's right at this stage now where this whole thing needs to be lifted onto the rails on the sawmill base, and then there's still some tasks to go through before we start milling wood. The actual frame construction is extremely thick metal, extremely heavy of course, but it's very, very sturdy. It's not going to go anywhere, that's for sure, up and down those rails cutting lumber. The water lubricant tank, as you see mounted on the back of the may need to come off in the transportation. I don't want any of those sheaths getting snagged with that tank. It's an aluminium one, it's welded quite nicely, so I wouldn't want a hole in the tank, so I may lift that off just before the shipment starts. Now, I haven't got a torque wrench, nor did I want to buy one at this point, so I'm going to go by the recommended 2.5 to 3 turns after snug onto the saw blade itself. It's transporting, so at this point in time the blade's loose, and when it's not in use, back it off to a loose state like it is now. But I'm going to give that a go. If it's not really operating as I think it should, then I'll go for a torque wrench. Wheel head will ride on the rails that you can see now with those pulleys. They sit on the rails on both sides of the machine, and that'll have the whole head readjusted and set level once up on the property. The Kohler 14 horsepower motor hasn't yet been started. It's all topped up with oil. It doesn't come with oil in the sump. You've got to put that in. I've selected 1030 SW oil in the actual temperature range that I'm going to be using this sawmill at. So you'll need at least 2 quarts of that. It takes 1 to 1.2 quarts to fill up the sump, and it's ready to go. The other tip there here is make sure it's high octane ethanol free if you can get that sort of fuel. Certainly can get high octane. Ethanol 3 is a bit of a bugger to locate. So I got it from some place which is about an hour away, so it's a 2-hour turnaround to get that gasoline. I think I'll stick with the high octane. WoodlandMills just says high octane as the option for fueling your sawmill. Now, one last tip. This particular catch at the top of the guards, there are 2 other catches that you have to mount by yourself at the bottom. If you're following the instructions page by page, leave that until you can get the actual head raised. It's almost an impossibility to put these catches on the bottom of this guard. That's the sawmill head ready to go up to the property. We're going to do that this weekend. So thanks very much for watching this week's video. You guys, if you've got any comments, we certainly like to hear from you all. We've got some good people following us here at this stage, and we'd certainly like to invite a lot more. So, you know, I'm not going to go through subscribe and like, etc. If you feel like doing that, we certainly would appreciate you doing. So stick with us. This is going to go up to the, on the next video you'll see that the sawmill is going to go up to the property, mount it onto the sawmill base and the rails, get it all fine-tuned, and we're going to start cutting some logs. So from Robert and I, thanks very much for watching. See you next week, guys. Cheers.